What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Ross review. Today I'm bringing you a 2000 Nissan Stagea RS4S, the Japanese wagon that shares a lot more than you'd think with the Skyline franchise. The Nissan Stagea was introduced back in 1996 and carried through right until 2007. The car was initially put up to take on the Subaru Legacy wagon. Now, interesting thing about this car is that Nissan sold the Stagea exclusively at the Prince stores. And we all know the story behind Skyline and the Prince name. The Stagea shares a lot of its mechanical components with the Nissan Skyline family and the C33 Laurel. Under the hood, you've got an RB25 Neo. That would have been taken straight out of a R34 GTT. Gearbox, all-wheel drive system, R32 GTR. And the rear subframe here, that's taken straight out of a C33 Laurel. Also, just to mention, this car just shares a lot of styling cues as well with the R34. Some of the lines on this car really do sort of give it that R34-ish look. Just another cool thing to mention, just adds to the fact, I think, of how this is related to a Skyline, is they actually made an upgraded version of this Stagea as well. A company called Autech grabbed some of these RS4S's and put in the GTR 2.6 liter twin turbo RB26, and then they also swapped in all the mechanical bits off of an R33 GTR. All-wheel drive, the gearbox, just about everything you can think of, and put a cool body kit on it, and they called it the 260 RS. Now, they only made about 1,700 of these cars, and I'd love to see one of those, and it's just one of the things that really separates this car and shows that this really does have heritage to the Skyline. Just hopping into the Stagea here, and just inside the cabin, this really resembles an R34 GTT. So like, we've got the same wheel here with the Nissan. You've got the same gauge cluster you would have. You've even got your boost gauge. You've got your front torque gauge, because of course this is a four-wheel drive. You've got the 5-speed manual here. You've got two sunroofs in this car. You've got a standard powered sunroof here. And then again in the back, even the backseat passengers get their own sunroof. Also love the fact that the Stagea gets its own carpets, and they even go to the trouble of putting the Stagea logo on all the carpets in here. It's pretty nice attention to detail, and I really like the way their logo actually looks. Apart from all that, the rest of the interior in here is pretty basic. You've got a basic radio in here, aircon controls, and it's just sort of got that simple 90s style into it. Back seats, really nice, decent sized back seats here. No trouble taking, 3 passengers back there. And then you just have such a huge back space in the boot here. It's really awesome, and I just love the fact that this has got all the Skyline elements, and it's practical. It's a real practical car. All right, so driving the 2000 Nissan Stagea. Man, still gets it pulls pretty good for a wagon, eh? Man, this thing, you really do get some of the best of both worlds with this car. I love the way this car just looks, it's got that R34-ish kind of presence about it, but it's in this awesome, real JDM classic wagon style. And it's one of the great things about this car is that it still looks beautiful, in my opinion, and you get the practicality of having a 5-door wagon, where if you go to the Skyline 4-door, that thing really has a face only a mother could love. I thought there would be a lot more roll. This is a much bigger car, it's much heavier, but to be honest, going around these corners right now, it feels pretty solid. $4,000, the turbo starts to kick on. So the owner's running BC street coilovers on this, and it gives it a really nice stance. It's just that perfect ride height to look really menacing and a bit low. And driving this thing through the corners, you can really notice a difference. This is much more stable. It's quite surprising how large this car is, and you know, taking it around a corner fast, it feels fairly good around it. So, like I said, this car is a bit of a Frankenstein. The gearbox in this bad boy is from a R32 GTR, as well as the four-wheel drive system. And yeah, the shifts feel phenomenal. Really good gearbox. You know exactly where you are. The shifts are fairly short, nice and precise. And this thing being four-wheel drive, you know, it just adds to the handling aspect that you just don't think you'll get in a car like this. These engines are just so bulletproof, you know, they're fun engines to have, you know, minor bolt-ons, you really get some decent numbers out of them. And you just gotta love the turbo, you know, it's fun, old school, laggy, 90s power. And I love the way these engines drive. I'm just gonna roll on to the second here, just from about $3,000. Oh man. It's much more quiet and it's much more stable feeling. It just feels less angry, but man, the speed is still there. And it's really impressive, especially for how much bigger this car is and the weight, you know? Not to mention, you know, like, you just have so much practicality in this car. Like, easily take 5 people anywhere you want. You've got a huge capacity in the back boot here. And don't be fooled by the wagon appearance of this car. This is a driver car. Like, taking this around the back roads here, this is still fun to just throw the gears around, smash it around a couple bends, and it's satisfying. It's just one of those things you gotta wrap around your head again, is that, like, you don't think you can go around a corner as fast as you can in this thing, because you forget that this is a four-wheel drive car, and you know you're running a Skyline engine in here. It's surprisingly good around the corners. I just love this idea. You know, you got a four-wheel drive manual turboed wagon from you know, 2000s that was built in Japan, and this thing just looks crazy as well from the outside. And in here, you know, you've even got a turbo boost gauge that it's something you would never think of, man. And the thing pulls, man, it pulls. So that's the Series 2 Nissan Stagea RS4S. I love this car, and the fact that you can have practicality and performance is really amazing. When you sit in the driver's seat of this car, you really do feel like you're driving a Skyline. And if you're the type of person who doesn't want to sacrifice practicality for performance, and you want that Skyline feel, there really is no other option.